Hello. Before we begin today's video on this, the new Mach-E GT, I'd like to very quickly address the two big questions that have dominated the coverage of this car, which are, is it a real muscle car? And is it a true Mustang? And it just so happens that I have the answer to both those questions just in my hand here. You want to see? Look. Can you see that? Those are all the I give about those stupid questions. Can we just stop with the whole, it's insane. Is it good to drive? Is it worth your money? Those are worthwhile questions. Is it a muscle car? No, it's a 2-ton electric SUV. This is marketing, okay? Done. Sorry about that. Andy, can we have a epic B-roll montage? This car's a bit of a thug. Hello, and welcome to my calm and placid review of the new Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. Now, today's video is focused around one key question. Is it a real muscle car? No, not really. We're going to talk about whether or not it's worth the extra money over the regular, very good Mach-E. You see, almost every performance variant of an electric car I've driven so far has left me a bit cold. The i4 M50, the Tesla Model 3 Performance, the Taycan Turbo S, they're all very good, but they are fundamentally just the same car with a bit too much horsepower. And a range-topping performance variant should be more than that. It should have a certain specialness that the regular car does not. It should make you feel things that the regular car can't. So today's very scientific question that I would like the answer to is, does the Mach-E GT make feel? I think we better start on the outside of the Mach-E GT because, ooh, isn't it a nice looking thing? Amazing how a few subtle aesthetic tweaks can completely change the appearance of a car. This to me now looks mean, and the front is where the changes are most noticeable. We've got this new faux grille design which I really like. We've got these little fangs on the splitter here, again in the headlights. I'm not sure if this is on the standard Mach-E, I don't think it is, but I like them. It's just a very aggressive front end. Intakes here that open when you turn the car on to let the battery breathe. Nice angry pointy face. So then, enough stationary chit chat. We're out on the road, a lovely road in the Mach-E GT. What does it feel like? Well, it feels quite special. Actually, this to me is a very different car to the base Mach-E. It's got a different personality. Do you know what this car is? It's like a mate who's a bit shady and keeps on trying to encourage you to do bad things that you shouldn't. Just wants to glass people and throw eggs at houses. Most other performance EVs, they do a very good Jekyll and Hyde trick. Sometimes, most of the time, they feel calm and serene and quiet and sensible, and they're only a bit leery when you want them to be. The GT is leery all the time. It's like a big dog pulling on the leash, it just wants to go. And then when you do go, it is ballistically fast. Side profile, this is where the most significant aesthetic improvement comes on the Mach-E GT, and it's these big old 20-inch wheels. For me, the huge letdown of the base Mach-E visually, it's just a bit underwheeled. It's a big, huge car, and it's just got these little feeble rims, and it just doesn't just doesn't quite look right. I know big wheels are impractical, you curb them, it makes it less comfortable, but look how good they look. Let's talk about the size as well. It is worth noting this is a large car, proper full-size SUV. It's always bigger than I think it's going to be when I climb in, and that is not ideal for a performance car, but it's good for a big practical family car. One more thing on the side, this is not specific to the GT, but we've got to talk about the hooks. Look at the hooks, buttons and hooks. Door handles, so yesteryear. They increase drag and reduce range, but hooks are the future, baby. I like the hooks. It's not as annoying to use as perhaps you think it's going to be, actually. Look, one finger, very easy, very straightforward. And this is really cool. On the driver's side, there's a little keypad in the B pillar, so that if you go running or swimming and you don't want to lose your key in the ocean or some mud, you can. It's like a microwave that you can drive. I don't know. Around the back, we've got some Mustang Mach-E demarcation, GT badge. That's just for the GT, journalism. And then we've got the 3-stroke Mustang taillights, the iconic taillights that have adorned the arses of Mustangs since the 60s. Now look, Ford knew what they were doing when they dressed their big electric SUV up like a Mustang. They knew it was going to annoy a small corner of the internet nerds like me, but that everyone else, normal people, were just going to see it and go, oh, that family car looks kind of like a Mustang. That's kind of cool. Calculated move, and I'm not offended by it. Find something better to get angry about if it really annoys you that much. Moving on, boots. We'll talk about the boot because the boot is important. 401 litres. This thing is rubbish. It's rubbish, but that, you know, small gripe. 401 litres, not as big as you would perhaps think and hope from a car this size, but the good news is you get another 81 litres in the frunk. Well, that's a big frunk. What you will not be successfully able to do in this car is get lots of range out of it. It's got a pretty big battery, and if you were really careful, you could probably see range in the high 200s. But you won't, because the car will goad you into misbehaviour, and all of a sudden, your battery will be gone. Do it, do it, do it. Oh, all right, then I will. Oh. Silly, silly. So where am I getting this sense of thuggishness from? Well, obviously from the absurd speed, 634 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60, 3.6 seconds. This is a 2-ton family SUV. Oh, it's so fast. It's so fast. But it's not just the speed. Every performance EV is quick. It's the angriness of the car. If there is so much as a drop of moisture on the road, you can light these tyres up in any mode with the traction control on. And there's other stuff too. This steering is really heavy. That's a bold move from Ford. Not everyone's going to like that, but I do. It gives the car a physical, industrial quality. You've got to really work this wheel to turn it around, but the steering is also accurate and provides a bit of feedback, which outside of a Taycan you just don't see in a performance EV. And the same goes for the ride. It's comfortable, it's pretty supple, but it's firm. It's always firm. You are always aware that you're in a performance car, a highly strung vehicle. Even now, while talking to you, I've slowed down a bit. I'm down at 35, 40 miles an hour just so that I can, you know, think and talk. And the car doesn't like it. It doesn't appreciate it. It wants to do crime. Even the view out from where I'm sat gives me a sense of raciness. I love this sculpted bonnet. It's really muscular. But it's not a muscle car, we've established that. Interior of the Mach-E GT. I think this cabin really nicely walks the line between racy performance car and sensible practical family car. On the sensible practical side, well, look at it. It's a gigantic, roomy electric SUV. I've got tons of space. I've got that high commanding driving position so I can lord over the road knowing full well that I'm better than everyone else. I've got storage out the wazoo. Nice armrest here, huge bin underneath it with a 12 volts, more storage, wireless phone charger, USB, USB-C, another USB and USB-C in the back. We've got a 360 camera, we've got a nice swanky sound system. It's very practical, but a few little details just to make it feel a bit special, a bit posher than the regular Mach-E, like this display. Do you know what it reminds me of? A McLaren P1. Anyone? No? Okay. This is, it's okay. It looks good. It's a big old screen, but I'm not crazy about it. It's a bit pedantic, but I just don't really like the way the software looks. It just looks a bit old-fashioned to me. It's not super responsive, but it gets the job done. We've got our driving modes and settings in here, and then you've got the other stuff that you're going to use less, kind of hidden away. And then this is my Apple CarPlay / Android Auto. That works just fine. But then this bit down here, it seems like they kind of run out of things to do with this huge screen. So you've got sort of hotkeys down here for the sketchpad and a radio station I've never listened to. AM radio. No one's tuned into AM radio since the 70s. And then again, down here, this section serves the climate control. It's nice that it doesn't move, it's always there. But look at the size of the auto button. They got too much screen. They didn't know what to do with it. It probably could have been a bit smaller. And backseat jack test. Just quickly, I love how Ford has completely rejected the conventional door handle, both inside and out this car. Little levers on the inside. I really like them. They work well. Anyway, seat in my driving position. Yeah, you know, it's a big car. Anything other than lots of room would have been completely unacceptable. Nice to see lots of headroom as well, though, really properly lots of room. I'd be happy back here for a properly long road trip. Flat floor means that it's a genuine 5-seater. You'd be absolutely fine in the middle, not next to me, of course, but normal people for sure. Again, USB ports. Back here, it's just a really well executed cabin on the whole. I think it doesn't necessarily feel like $7 grand more car than the regular extended range all-wheel drive Mach-E, but I don't want to see all the improvements and tweaks in here. I want to see them in the way it drives, in the way it feels. So I think probably time to get it out on the road. Sound rolling, this is Jack's in-car piece to camera. I should stress that while this car is pretty thuggish all the time, regardless of what mode you're in, it's not completely miserable to live in or be a passenger in. At the end of the day, this is still a big, roomy SUV with Apple CarPlay and wireless charging and air conditioning. I don't know, what else do you need? I'll tell you something interesting about this car as well. This GT specifically, it feels quite rear biased. If I slow down for this corner, steer in, punch it, that feels rear wheel drive. It's so fast. That feels rear wheel drive to me. I feel like I'm being pushed from behind instead of pulled from the front, which is interesting because this is an all-wheel drive car, but the GT, the extra power is coming from the front. In order to make the GT, they give it a bigger front motor, but it feels more rear wheel drive. How'd they do that? And I'll tell you one other slightly pernickety bit of feedback I have. One feature I would have loved to see on this car that really would have set it apart from that regular Mach-E, rear wheel steering. On a car this size, that would have been the icing on the cake. Not a perfect car then. It's a bit too big in my opinion. It's very heavy, the seats are rubbish, and this is, I'm not sure about this. But would I recommend it over the regular Mach-E? I really would. I can honestly say that, and I don't think I've ever said that about a performance EV before. I genuinely think this just feels different to the standard car. Back in the heyday of the internal combustion engine performance car, you wanted that range topper, you wanted that AMG, that M-badged BMW, that RS Audi, because it had a different engine, or at least lots of different bits attached to the engine, which along with lots of other modifications amounted to a car that felt genuinely different, that had a different personality. We've been missing that in the EV space until now. Final thoughts on this Mach-E GT then. Oh, I like this big thug of a car. All the irrational, immature parts of my brain that make all the bad decisions want one of these, and that's how I know it's a good performance variant. No one needs the performance variant. If we all bought cars using common sense, they wouldn't exist, but we don't. So they do, and that's a beautiful thing. This is the first range-topping performance EV that I can genuinely say is worth the extra money over the regular one, because it feels like a different car. It's got a different personality. Hopefully, it won't be the last. I've got one eye on the incoming Kia EV6 GT. Fingers crossed, that follows in this footsteps of being properly different from the regular EV6. We'll have to see. There we go, Mach-E GT. Very special car, very angry car. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have been, thank you for watching.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please leave a comment down below in the comment section. Give us a like. That's always nice. We love getting a like. And also, if you're really interested in this topic, that video is one we did a while ago, very relevant to the topic. This is our latest episode. Up there, you can subscribe to Fully Charged, and up there, you can have a look at our Patreon page.